Absolutely. And so think about this, folks. Some people just stop by restaurants in the area to grab a cup of coffee for a quick bite before they start work, and the Fifth Third Center is right on Fountain Square. Our Allie Kramer brings us the stories of folks who heard and saw the commotion.
I noticed a commotion come across Fountain Square, and then not 5 seconds later, a Cincinnati police officer showed up, and she was out of her car with her gun drawn, running towards Fountain Square.
Adam Hardwick was watering flowers across the street from the Fifth Third Center.
It was a matter of seconds with the gunfire.
He hid behind a flower pot while police rushed toward the shooting. Janetta Cook and Michelle Parks tried to hide too. They work inside Cervantes, which is just feet away from the lobby where the shooter opened fire.
We were really close, and all that was going through my mind was they're coming for us. They're coming. The shots got closer and closer and closer, and it's just like that's all you could think about is I'm next.
It's very close to where it felt like a gunshot was going to come through the wall. That's how close they were.
But no one as close as this Fifth Third Center employee who says he was in the lobby and saw that shooter.
I was in the lobby getting the building, like, what's going on here? And I started running. I crawled through the exit and, like, what's going on? I started shouting to everybody. The people were on the line, the Dunkin' Donuts said, active shooter, please run.
Reporting downtown, Allie Kramer, 9 on your side.
And just into our newsroom, this is a picture, folks, we should show you of the man that police have now identified as the shooter. As you know, we have named him his Omar Enrique Santa Perez. He was 29 years old, and joining us in studio to talk about everything that quite unfortunately has happened today in Cincinnati is Cincinnati City Councilman Wendell Young. Thanks for being here.
Oh,
Yeah.
my pleasure.
And you have a perspective unlike a lot of people because not only are you a resident, you're a city leader, and you're a former police officer.
That's
so
true.
what are your thoughts about
And I
what's
grew up in
happened today?
Cincinnati. This is my
Yeah.
home.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I think I'm like everybody else in Cincinnati. I'm appalled.
Yeah.
I truly regret the loss of life. I'm just unbelievably proud of our first responders. I think Chief Elliott and the fire chief, they can be just extremely proud of their personnel, knowing that they acted in accordance to their training and did what they were supposed to do. No cop wants to do what these officers had to do today, but it is sometimes a requirement of the job, and they saved lives. So I think it leaves all of us just wondering, what the devil do you do? I mean, we've known this day would come to Cincinnati. We've all prayed that we'd be wrong and it wouldn't happen. It did. So now we need to find a way to honor those we've lost and put in place what we hope will prevent it from happening again.
What can we do, though? Is there anything to be done?
Well, I think there are things that can be done. I mean, around this nation, you've heard people from all walks of life call for stricter measures on gun control, and people don't want to talk about this kind of stuff. But there has to come a point where the public has to say collectively, we've had enough. We're not there yet. There's still large segments of our population that is not willing to accept that we have to do more than we've done. And this is not a political thing. It's not Republican or Democrat, it's people. And once we understand that this is a people problem, that affects all of us.
So that on that note, some people would say it's not the gun, it's the person. And this, we don't know this to be the case with Omar Perez, but there's a mental illness issue in our country, and that needs to be addressed as well.
Maybe. I don't deny that mental illness is certainly a part of this. I mean, none of us can fathom that a sane person would do this. So we always assume that the person who's doing this is perhaps mentally ill. But that aside, it does not mean that we cannot put in place measures that prevent people who should not have firearms from getting them. And we don't have to certify that someone is mentally ill before we decide they shouldn't have a firearm. I'm talking about common sense, across the board things that we can do. Assault weapons, do people really need those? Automatic weapons, do you really need that as a concealed carry? I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to have to decide what we want to do about the proliferation of guns. It has nothing to do with the Second Amendment. It has everything to do with the saving of lives.
Taking it back to Cincinnatians, what's your wish for the people who call this city home in this moment?
My wish is that we continue to be the Cincinnati that we know we are. that we don't let this set us back, that we don't allow this to make us afraid to go about our lives, that we do the things we would normally do. I think that's the way you honor the people we lost today. Otherwise, the bad guys win. When we get to the point where we are afraid to live our lives, when we are afraid to go to a store, to go to our Fountain Square, to go to work, to send our children to school, they win.
Councilman Wendell Young, we thank you for your time and your words today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We spoke to the governor live during our coverage earlier this afternoon and brought up something important: taking care of the officers who responded.
There may be some after action, that police officers have to go through who are in the middle of something like this, a shootout.
Are you talking about like a mental health services type of thing?
Well, we have a lot. We have services that we can offer, maybe stress-related kinds of things that we could help with. That would be something that I would encourage you to talk to our highway patrol about. But whatever they need down there, we'll deliver.
Governor Kasich says he was about to walk into a meeting in New York State to talk about the strength of Ohio when he got word of that shooting. We are not leaving this story. New updates will be pushed to your smartphone. Just download the WCPO app and you'll get alerts like this one that we sent this morning.
But we do need to turn to the weather, and Chief Meteorologist Steve Raleigh joins us now. We've had some, alerts and weather situations happening.
We had some severe weather here earlier today, and we've had some downpours and thunderstorms. What's concerning, and what I want to say right up front, is it's increasingly looking like we're going to see some flooding this weekend. Now, things could change. It's not in stone, but that remnants that we talked about all week long from Tropical Storm Gordon, it looks like it'll drop a lot of rain this weekend. So let's get to it, and here's the big picture on radar. You'll notice the rain over by us, but you'll also notice there's a little spin down by Memphis right there, and that spin is what's going to be heading for us. So while we're going to continue to see some scattered rain and thunderstorms tonight and tomorrow into the weekend, it's that remnants that will draw up a lot of moisture and sit over the top of us for about 48 hours. We're getting rain and storms from the stationary front right now, and that thankfully is pushed a little south, so we've taken the humidity out of the picture for now. Not to say it's not humid out, but it's not that unbearable nature such as we've had in the last few days. What we're going to be watching, though, is this area of low pressure, the leftovers of Gordon getting up here through the afternoon on Saturday night, and into Sunday. Now, while it's possible we could see some issues as soon as Saturday afternoon with flash flooding, we're also going to have to worry about creeks, rivers, and streams all rising quickly as we head into Saturday night and going into Sunday, because this low is going to hang around with the front right through the first part of Monday as well. The folks at the National Weather Service in Indianapolis have already placed that whole area, and you'll notice all that green as we zoomed in, all under a flash flood watch. It's not going to surprise me that we may very well go under a watch, especially when we start to see future view numbers like this. While we're going to see some healthy rain totals through the next 24 hours, it's possible we could be talking about 2, 3, 4, 5 inches of rain. Now, this again is not etched in stone. Let me make sure that you understand that if this track of this low stays way out west, then we probably won't see these numbers. But as we look at it tonight, there's a certain universal look at all the models, and I'm seeing all of them saying some heavy rain totals tonight. That's why I'm giving you this 9 first warning. 82 degrees outside now, and temperatures that are in the 70s and 80s, depending on if you've seen rain or if you haven't. Some areas still uncomfortably warm, hot really. As we look at our 9 first warning Doppler, you'll notice we're still seeing one particular area just sitting there and dumping rain. All of this area now under a flood advisory, as we mentioned at the top of the show. Still thunderstorms on the west side, across a good portion of northern Kentucky, down through about Independence, and it just continues to sit there. So likely some of these areas experiencing some minor flooding across the roads, or perhaps even a little bit more. 68 degrees, the showers and the rain tonight. More rain and storms for tomorrow. We'll top out at 80. Most folks won't get there. In fact, they've got Cincinnati at 78 degrees. Then this weekend, I'm taking the temperatures down because of the rain and the clouds. And of course, again, that heavy rain, 72 to 75 degrees. More showers and rain next week, guys.
Thank you, Steve. Much more coverage coming your way next.
Including reaction from businesses downtown, the employees who were caught in a stomach-turning scene. As we come back, we want you to see this editorial drawing from WCPO's Kevin Necessary. Indeed, a powerful image of the genus of water covering her eyes. Looks like to be in tears. Yeah. So you will find this on the WCPO Facebook page and all over Twitter as well.
I think it perfectly encapsulates how everybody's feeling today.
Sure does.
Much more coverage at 5:30.
That includes new information on the gunman in today's deadly shooting downtown. We will also have reaction from businesses. Don't go anywhere.
Breaking news on 9 on your side.
It's this white guy, maybe 5'4", 5'6", started shooting, and there were 3 guys I know they've been shot. They've been shot. Because he was like 3 meters away from them, and I was like maybe another 5 meters sweating my bag. Like, I started running.
Back now at 5:30 with a witness account of today's shooting at Fountain Square in downtown Cincinnati.
Frightening, frightening day. Everyone in our newsroom has been on top of this story since 9 this morning, and we are continuing our team coverage right now.
We wish you good evening, and if you are just joining us, we welcome you back if you have been sticking with us. And we do want to give you a recap.
Yeah, here is the quick recap on where everything stands right now. Police just identified the shooter as Omar Enrique Santa Perez. He's 29 years old. Around 9:10 this morning, police responded to the Fifth Third building after a call of shots fired. The shooting began in the loading dock and ended in the lobby. That is where police confronted the shooter. He died and 3 others were killed. One victim is identified as 64-year-old Richard Newcomer.
No, it's not the kind of things that you would expect to hear when you were at work downtown. Gunshots and lots of them. And that is what employees faced this morning at the Dunkin' Donuts in the Fifth Third Center lobby. So our colleague, Tom McKee, spoke to one employee who called this terrifying. Tom?
Well, she certainly did that. When Ebony Ginyard opened for business this morning at the Dunkin' Donuts right down there just off the Fifth Third lobby, she greeted some regular customers. She had a long line of people who needed some coffee and such, but her day quickly went from routine to very, very rough and raucous. Of course, it was around chaos around the Fifth Third Center. After that, shots were fired at 9 o'clock. Reports of those multiple shots quickly brought dozens of Cincinnati police officers to investigate. Police quickly arrived to neutralize that shooter. Ebony Ginyard says she was shocked and scared and even had an asthma attack in the midst of it all.
About 9:10, we had customers in line. We heard a loud boom. We thought it was construction, but it wasn't. We heard a second and third boom, and we found out there was gunshots, so we all hit the floor. And we told the customers to come in there with us, which they did, and he kept shooting. Then he stopped to reloaded again. We saw another customer, told him to come in there with us when he saw the man start shooting again. And that's how he shot the glasses, made the glass shatter. We saw that from sitting on the floor. Started smelling the gunpowder. He was that close, like all he had to do was look over the counter and shoot, because we ain't got no glass to like shield us.
Now, as we know now, police shot and killed that suspect, Omar Santa Perez, but not before he killed 3 civilians and wounded 2 others. And it's a safe bet to say that tonight we have Ebony is going to be saying a few prayers, thanks for herself, but also praying for the families of the victims going forward, who are going to be having some very, very difficult days. My colleague, Paula, is going to be telling us a little bit more about what happened this afternoon. What can you tell us?
Well, Tom, you talked a little bit about that employee at Dunkin' Donuts, but this morning, a mother of a Cincinnati Public School student received a phone call. She was not expecting an active shooter in the building where her son had just reported for his internship. In fact, she had just dropped him off 30 minutes before receiving this phone call that completely changed it all for her. It was a 1-minute phone call, but the most important minute of Anastasia Bender's day.
He just said, "Hi, Mom, it's me. I'm fine. I just want you to know I'm doing okay." And We're in a safe place.
Her 18-year-old son, Elijah, who has autism, was one of 7 Cincinnati Public School students attending their internship at Fifth Third Bank through CPS's Project Search program.
Project Search is a program we have for students with disabilities. It's an internship program for students who are age 18 and up so that they can transition from high school to the world of work.
From the 8 students in the program, 7 reported to work along with 3 instructors when the active shooter situation began to unfold.
I don't know if it's completely set in. I don't know that it's really set in with me either, you know. But yeah, he's well aware of what's going on.
I'm sure they are a little shaken up. Anytime there's a situation like this, it's frightening. And in some cases, we find that people react even more differently after a situation occurs.
All the students and instructors are safe and sound and were able to touch base with their families during the events.
I'm really grateful. Had I seen it on the news and not known that he was safe, I would be very upset. And I feel like whatever their crisis team is or whatever their plan is obviously working very well because they were able to get a hold of us before, while the shooter was still active.
The students and instructors have already safely evacuated from the building, and CPS arranged transportation to get the students home. As for Anastasia, the first thing she said she'd do when seeing Elijah:
kiss him, give him a big hug. I'm just grateful. I'm grateful.
So they have been reunited, but Lauren Worley with Cincinnati Public Schools does tell us that as far as she knows, the students are expected to report back tomorrow for their internship here at Fifth Third. She does say that if anything changes, she will let the families know, of course. And she also did mention that a crisis team will be made available here on site for the students and the instructors that went through everything here today. But for now, we're live downtown. I'm Paola Suro, 9 on your side.
Paula, thank you. And now we want to take some time to remember one of the victims who we have some information on at this point. His name was Richard Newcomer. He was 64 years old. He was a superintendent with the Gilbane Building Company. And Tanya, you have some comments from his co-workers.
I sure do. Let me just scroll back down to that. This is Wes Cotter, Director of Communications from Gilbane Building Company, said that he was a great employee and we are absolutely grief-stricken. He just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time and we couldn't feel any worse about it. He works for a construction company, Gilbane, and they were there working on the 3rd floor at the time. And
contracting, right?
Just contract employee working there, happened to be, as he said, in their wrong place, wrong time. We don't have a photo. They have not made one available to us of Mr. Newcomer, but we can tell you that they have counselors, Gilbane does, working with the family and with the team there at that construction company.
Our thoughts and prayers are with his family and with the families of all of the victims today.
Absolutely. And we do need to make a turn now and go to the weather. What's going on? We have lots of, someone just said on here, there's like a rain squall over downtown Cincinnati. Not sure if that's even a thing.
Yeah, we've had some very strong storms, some just under severe levels, some at severe levels around the tri-state this afternoon. Let's show you where we stand right now on our 9 first warning Doppler. You'll notice that across the area, temperatures are, well, there's a great span today because of the folks who have been hit with rain throughout the day and some that haven't. A lot of the folks in northern Kentucky have been dry up until recently. You'll see we run from 75 degrees to 86 with 82 in Cincinnati right now. Some areas are seeing that training of rain just sitting over the same area. And as a result, we have a flood advisory until 8 o'clock for Hamilton and Kenton and Campbell County. And you can see why. There's some very heavy rain stretching from Cheviot with some thunderstorms over to downtown to Norwood. And this particular area down here by Piner and all of that very heavy rain. Winds have been gusting to 45 miles an hour, and there's half-inch hail with that as well. Otherwise, we're looking at rain continuing through the night for tonight. We've got more rain to go. And when we come back, I'm going to tell you more about the remnants of Tropical Storm Gordon and why I think the potential for flooding is starting to increase this weekend, guys.
All right, Steve, thanks so much for that. Now we want to get back to our team coverage of today's shooting at the Fifth Third building.
We want to take a second and just listen to what some witnesses had to say about what they experienced.
I was literally coming out, got on the bike, I was about to go, turn towards the square. And as soon as I was turning towards the square, all I know is I heard a lot of gunshots and I paddled towards the banks.
We was making drinks at Dunkin'. Next thing you know, we heard a loud boom, thought it was construction. Then we thought about it, construction come on our side. And then the second and third shot, we knew it was shot, so we all dropped to the floor. He kept shooting and kept shooting. Then after that, he emptied the gun. He sat and reloaded. We saw a customer picking up his drink, told him they shooting to come in there with us. So he came in there with us. Next thing you know, he started shooting again. The glass doors, he started shooting the glass doors, and we saw the glass in the air.
When I came from the back, there were numerous amounts of gunshots, and then after that, it was more and more. It was a total of maybe 20 to 30 gunshots. We did not see anything. We just know we were told to take cover, lock the doors, and we were on lockdown until further notice.
The shooting didn't just impact the immediate area around Fountain Square.
Now, even blocks away from the police action, there were restaurants, they were empty. Some stores just closed down for the day. Consumer reporter John Matarese tests the mood of the city and how soon it may recover.
And you know we have all of the latest updates about today's shooting on our website, WCPO.com. Right now, you can hear the story of a woman who walked out of the elevator and almost right into the gunman's path.
You're watching 9 on Your Side at 5:30.
Welcome back. And remembering the victims in today's shooting downtown, the city just tweeted this picture. The iconic Cincinnati sign at the Duke Energy Convention Center will have a special design this week in honor of the lives of those lost today. That sign will feature the colors of the city seal.
Retail and restaurants within blocks of Fountain Square felt the impact immediately today.
They sure did. 9 on Your Side's John Matarese is joining us to explain what that's about. John?
Well, Tanya, Fountain Square was a ghost town today, a giant crime scene. We've all seen that. But even many blocks away where the city streets were open, the shootings were impacting every worker, every visitor, every small business. They told us these things always seem to happen somewhere else until they don't. As the bells of noon rang over downtown Cincinnati, it was obvious this was no normal day, even blocks from the shooting. Banks locked their doors. The streetcar had nowhere to go, and normally bustling lunch spots were eerily empty.
So far, I have no lunch, and usually I'm very busy by now.
Madonna's Cafe was so quiet, owner C.J. Wilson was able to sit outside at noontime, wondering if this will hurt the city long term.
It's awful. I mean, it's a central business district. It hurts all our businesses. That's why people don't want to come downtown.
No matter where we look downtown, the feeling was pretty much the same. People have become used to, almost numb to mass shootings. But when it happens here, that's something else.
It's just, now our city has witnessed the tragedy. And it's, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's heartbreaking for everyone.
At Lucy Blue Pizza on 7th Street, a few people were nibbling on slices. But owner Jim Thompson says most just wanted to watch their TV coverage.
I've had people come in and just, can I watch your television for a little while?
Yes, the city will recover. All cities do after tragedies. But this one hits close to home. Local people, our neighbors, have died. And Shalonda Davidson, handing her daughter off to daycare, will now worry a little bit more.
Definitely. It's sad that you have to, even wonder if it's safe just to get on the bus and just to go do your regular things every day, and wondering if you're going to be safe just to come downtown.
Yeah, a lot of people wondering about that. Now, based on other shootings in other cities, the area should bounce back soon. Let's all hope so. Tanya?
All right, John, thanks so much. We now take a turn to the weather.
And lots of activity on that front, Steve.
Yeah, there is. In fact, I just tweeted out something that's kind of important, and we'll start there. In fact, it comes from the Weather Prediction Center. They're the folks nationally that look over the weather in the country and say, okay, these could very well be our problem spots over the next few days. And they put out specific forecasts for those things. And let me show you something I just tweeted out. Leftovers from Tropical Storm Gordon making the potential for flooding possible. You'll notice the Weather Prediction Center put out a significant river flood outlook, meaning that area across what you're seeing, the tri-state and other spots in that hatched area, that's a possible area for flooding this weekend. That's for rivers, streams, creeks, and everything else. Let me show you why that's possible. Right now, we have got this stationary front triggering rain, thunderstorms in the area from yesterday, today, and for tomorrow. that is going to slowly start fading out of here, and our focus will start really zeroing in and analyzing what happens to this area of low pressure coming in out of the southwest, and that will be the leftovers of Tropical Storm Gordon. We're going to continue to see rain and storms for tomorrow, such as we had today. We could have some issues like we have now, some minor street flooding, some flood advisories, but this would be more significant. This would be something that could cause all of those tributaries to really rise quickly and to cause more significant flash flooding, because it does look like a lot of rain will be moving across the area. It looks like maybe late Saturday into Sunday morning would be the timing. That's hardly in stone. This track right now could vary, so it's important to know that. So let's hope that it does. It's going to be bad news for other folks in the country, but it would alleviate problems for us. That low will continue to slide over the top of us on Monday, giving us even more rain. Folks out just to the west of us, you'll see all are in green, and that includes all of the counties right up to the tri-state in Indiana. The folks in Indianapolis already feel that it's worth putting out a flash flood watch. I think our folks in Wilmington will follow suit shortly. If not tonight, I would think tomorrow, because of all of the rainfall amounts that we're seeing. And on that subject, let me show you future view. Our proprietary model shows rainfall to about an inch or so by 10 o'clock Friday. Now, let's kick in that remnants from Tropical Storm Gordon, and it's quite possible we could be talking about really significant rainfall happening within that 48-hour time period from late Friday to late Sunday. Again, it has highly variant on the track, but nevertheless, a lot of models are showing a lot of rain over the weekend, and that's what's giving me growing confidence in this. Right now, we're looking at some areas with some pockets of heavy rain and thunderstorms. You'll see the red and the yellow shades, especially down in through Independence, down through southern Kenton. We're also seeing a lot of rain here on the west side and some thunderstorms. Moderate rain elsewhere. In fact, look at this downtown. Broken out a little bit, 75 degrees, 68 tonight overnight. The topper will be 80 degrees and scattered rain and storms for tomorrow, but I think in Cincinnati it'll be 78. I've got it to 72 and 75 for the weekend with that heavy rain coming. And you'll notice, Kristen, I even have more rain into next week. So this is going to be a growing problem for us over the next few days.
Wow, major saturation. Thank you, Steve. Still ahead on 9 on Your Side, Governor Kasich weighs in on the day's events. We'll hear what he wants Ohioans to do.
Welcome back, everyone. Dan Carroll is over the scene downtown, the Fountain Square, of course. And Dan, what do you see right now?
Well, we're taking a look at Walnut Street right now. We're just south of the Fifth Third Bank Tower, and traffic has opened up once again on Walnut Street going southbound. Police, at last check, they still had that curb lane blocked, and I think that is still the case. Yeah, there's still police officers there blocking the curb lane going south. Fifth Street remains closed in front of the Fifth Third Bank building and Fountain Square, which is just off to our left. The Fifth Third Tower is easily one of the tallest buildings in downtown Cincinnati, and because of all the tall buildings in this area, makes it sort of hard for us to be able to provide a good shot. But once we clear, you'll see the U.S. Bank building right here. Once we clear that, we will be able to see a little bit of Fountain Square, and again, it's something we've been talking about all day long, just how empty Fountain Square has been all day long as police continue their investigative work, and that work continues now. And we'll also see the crime there, and
That was Dan Carroll reporting. We lost his signal, but he mentioned something that is so stark to all of us, just how silent Fountain Square has been today. There is a lot of heartfelt reaction to the downtown shooting from across the country. We spoke with Ohio Governor John Kasich live on our air as the aftermath of the shootings was unfolding. He called on neighbors to help each other and to stay strong.
We don't want to just lock ourselves in our homes. This is just part of what's happening in our country, in our culture today. But it's not a reason to curl up in a ball and say I'm not going to go outside.
Governor Kasich told us he called Mayor Cranley to say the state of Ohio would do whatever it could to help with the investigation.
Folks, this is an exceptionally difficult day for so many people who work at Fifth Third Bank their families, their friends as well. So the bank has put out a statement today. It says in part, our thoughts and prayers are with everyone caught up in this terrible event. We continue to work with law enforcement as we ensure the safety of our employees and customers. We are grateful for the support and the concern from our neighbors throughout Cincinnati and the country.
Mayor Cranley also issued a statement in addition to his comments on camera. His statement says, quote, first and foremost, our hearts and prayers go out to the victims and their families. Cincinnati's finest police and firefighters acted swiftly and courageously, and we are indebted to their heroic service. They clearly prevented a much worse tragedy and loss of life. Random mass shootings, which plague our nation, are not normal, and we as a country cannot allow them to be normalized. Our country is the only first world nation with this level of mass shootings. This is an American problem that we, as Americans, must solve by putting ideology last and human life first. It continues. Please join me in praying for the victims, praying for our country, and join me in this fight to end senseless gun violence. Our hearts are broken today. And in the initial news conference this morning, we heard powerful words from the mayor and the chief. Please take a listen.
What we know is an individual entered the loading dock area of the building, began firing shots, then proceeded to the lobby area of the building where he was engaged by several of our officers. There were gunshots exchanged. At this point, the shooter is deceased. We also have 5 victims, additional victims that sustained injuries. Of those 5, we have received word that 3 of those 5 are deceased as well.
It's heartbreaking. I mean, this is not normal, and it shouldn't be viewed as normal. This is abnormal. No other industrialized country has this level of active multiple shootings on a regular basis, almost on a daily basis. I think there's something deeply sick at work here.
Folks, don't go anywhere. We do have live team coverage of the deadly shooting downtown, and it will continue for you at 6 o'clock.
We are live covering everything we know about the investigation, the victims, and the suspected shooter. Join us for 9 on Your Side at 6, right after the break.
I wasn't really expecting to wake up and have my life in jeopardy. It was sad.
This isn't something to expect to happen at work. I mean, we love our job.
It's one of those things, it's the world we live in these days.
Terribly upsetting and devastating to the community as a whole.
Tragedy rocks Fountain Square. A gunman opens fire at the Fifth Third Bank headquarters downtown, one of the most popular areas of the Queen City. Now a crime scene.
Really the heart of the Queen City. As we come on the air, investigators are still trying to identify some of the victims. They're also trying to answer the big question everyone is wondering. Why did this happen?
Folks, we just got an update from police about 90 minutes ago, so let's bring you up to speed. Police say the gunman opened fire at Fifth Third Bank headquarters, killing 3 people and injuring 2 more. One of the victims has been identified as 64-year-old Richard Newcomer. Officers exchanged gunfire with the gunman, killing him.
Just 90 minutes ago, investigators identified the suspected gunman as 29-year-old Omar Enrique Santa Perez. This is a mugshot of the suspect. Another big development we're following. Hamilton County deputies searched a home in North Bend. They believe the suspected shooter lived there. Chopper 9, the only local helicopter getting you breaking news first, had this exclusive view on Miami Avenue near Brower Road.
And we do have comprehensive team coverage on the investigation and the conditions of the victims. We do want to begin, though, with our co-anchor Craig McKee, who is leading our coverage from downtown. Craig.
Tanya and Kristen, referencing the suspect in this case who took part allegedly in this attack, the suspected gunman in the attack here at Fifth Third Center. You know, the police chief earlier told us they believe he did act alone as he entered the Fifth Third Center lobby here, first entering the Potbelly restaurant right next door just prior to going into Fifth Third Center and opening fire. As you mentioned there, one of the victims, 64-year-old Richard Newcomer, his employer actually identified him. Newcomer worked for Gilbane Building Company based in Providence, Rhode Island. The spokesperson actually, where Newcomer was working, did release a statement saying our thoughts and prayers go out to his family. We are shocked and saddened by the events of today, and we haven't learned the identities of the other 2 victims, of course, at this point. we are continuing to follow every development, and there are so many different layers to this investigation. In fact, Tom McKee was one of the first 9 on Your Side reporters out on the scene right after those shots were fired. We want to go to him live with where everything stands right now. Tom?
Well, basically, the question tonight is why. We know what happened inside the lobby here at the Fifth Third Center. We don't know why. Some possibilities. Maybe it was suicide by cop. Maybe it was one of those things where he was upset with the bank. He wore a suit during this whole situation. He had a 9mm handgun and hundreds of rounds of ammunition. But the victims seem to be randomly chosen. It really isn't making any sense to investigators, at least right now. Now, it may take a long time to sort through Thursday morning's chaos. 5 people in the lobby shot, 3 dead and 2 hurt. Police quickly responded to neutralize the threat, and that drew praise from Police Chief Elliot Isaac in that news conference a few moments ago.
This is a horrific incident, and we really are grateful to the quick and decisive actions of the officers and fire personnel who responded this morning. 4 of the responding officers engaged the shooter with their firearms, striking him multiple times, causing him to fall to the ground.
Now, the chief also had praise for the Cincinnati Fire Department. Certainly, 4 officers went in, engaged in that gunfight with a suspect in that lobby down here. But it was the Cincinnati firefighters, the paramedics, the EMTs that had to come in and take those victims to the hospitals as quickly as possible, and that they did. There was also another wrinkle. A mutual aid pact with fire departments in Cincinnati and Hamilton County has life squads can be used in mass casualty situations. Well, level 1 emergency was called today. 10 life squads were staging at Union Terminal just in case, and fortunately they weren't needed. Unfortunately, we had the loss of life here in the middle of downtown Cincinnati. Tom McKee, 9 on Your Side, live along Walnut Street.
Yeah, Tom, absolutely. Very fortunate the rest of those rescue squads didn't have to be used. Of course, at the time of this shooting, this is a very busy location here in downtown. Most of us, I think I can clearly state a broad brush there, most of us have been down here in the morning times or throughout even just the weekday. It is a very busy place. Folks here in the Fifth Third Center were getting their coffee, their donuts, whatever, their bagels, and getting ready to head to work and do what they do each and every day. We want you to listen to some of the reaction from those who were here when chaos rang out.
I heard 2 gunshots, and then it stopped, and then immediately after it was more gunshots and never stopped. And all I could do was run, lock doors, and come and hide in the bathroom. That's all we could do.
It's very close to where it felt like a gunshot was going to come through the wall. That's how close they were. They were right outside the door. There was nowhere that we can go. The thing we could do was protect each other, go and, go in the bathroom and pray that everything is okay.
Just pray everything was okay. They stayed in the bathroom for about a half hour, texting friends and family to let them know where they were and that they were still safe, but hunkered down, obviously, during the chaos. So things out here have calmed down. In that sense, though, the investigators continuing all of their efforts on the inside for several more hours ahead. Kristen, Tanya, back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Craig. It had to be so incredibly frightened.
I can't even imagine it.
Nope.
Yeah.
So as we mentioned earlier, deputies searched the home of the suspected shooter just a short time ago.
9 on Your Sides, Tamika Artis joins us from the scene with what we know.
Investigators cleared the scene here around 4:30 this afternoon. They have been searching the second floor of that 3-story apartment building there behind me. That is where the alleged gunman, Omar Perez, lived. And just like so many people here, they're trying to understand what would have motivated him to do something like this. Now, we had a chance to speak with a woman who lives right across the hall from the alleged shooter. Federal, county, and city agents arrived here around 10:30 this morning. The woman, whose name is Christina, told us that Omar Perez was a quiet and nice man. She said that he was a father, had at least one son, but she hadn't seen that child in a while. She says that she never saw any signs that he would plan a mass murder and that he's been living here for about 6 months. She was one of the last people to leave the apartment building when more than a dozen law enforcement officials showed up here and told her that she had to leave the property, which was now officially a crime scene.
They showed me a picture and asked me when's the last time I seen him or if I knew of him. And actually, I saw him last night about 3 o'clock in the morning on his balcony when I took my dog out. But I couldn't hear what he was saying. He was on the phone. I have no idea why he would go do something like that, he never gave any type of clue that he was doing that.
Well, again, many people out here are just in shock and disbelief. They're expressing prayers and condolences to the victims and their families. But again, the big question is why, and that is something that may take days, weeks, even months for anyone here to know. Reporting from North Bend, I'm Tamika Artis, 9 on your side.
Okay, so thank you, Tamika. And we do want to tell you that we have now the names of the deceased victims from the Hamilton County Coroner. Pruthvi Raj Kandepi is at 25, Luis Felipe Calderon, 48 years old, and of course we've been reporting to you for at least a couple hours now, Richard Newcomer, age 64.
And continuing our live team coverage now, we are looking for updates about the conditions of the other victims. 9 on your sides, Lisa Smith has been covering this part of the story all day long, and she joins us live from UC Medical Center with more. Hi, Lisa.
Well, Kristen, there were 4 of those shooting victims brought here to UC Medical Center. 2 are dead. We can tell you that 1 is still listed in critical condition and 1 is in fair condition, upgraded from serious from earlier today. Now, we have some video of the scene as the ambulances were arriving here at the hospital. These were the first shooting victims to be brought here. There was a very large presence of hospital staff waiting for those ambulances to arrive. UC is, of course, a level 1 trauma center, so they tell me that they prepare for days like today. There was